In a world ruled by iron chariots and merciless men, for 20 years, a tyrant reigned with cruelty. His commander, Sisera, was feared by nations. Leaders hesitated. Warriors lost courage. But in the silence of a woman's tent, with nothing but a hammer and a peg, history was rewritten. With unshakable faith, she stood against 900 iron chariots and declared, "The battle belongs to the Lord." This is more than a story of battle. It is a story of courage, a story of prophecy, a story where God gave victory into the hands of a woman. The story begins in a time of shadows, a time when Israel once again turned its back on the Lord. After the death of Ehud, the judge God had raised before, the people of Israel forgot. They forgot the God who delivered them. They forgot his covenant, and they returned to Sindot, so the anger of the Lord burned against them, and he gave them over into the hands of a foreign king, Jabin, the Canaanite, who ruled in the city of Hazor. Jabin's commander was a man feared by all. His name was Sisera. Sisera commanded 900 iron chariots, an unstoppable war machine in those days. With them, he oppressed the Israelites ruthlessly. For 20 long years, the children of Israel groaned under the weight of his cruelty. Fields were burned, families enslaved, roads deserted for fear of bandits and soldiers. Women wept at night for their sons taken into forced labor. Men bowed their heads in silence, powerless under Sisera's hand. It was an age of despair, an age of fear. But when Israel suffers, when they are crushed beyond their strength, they remember. They remembered the God of Abraham, the God of Moses, the God who split the Red Sea. And once again, they cried out for help. Their prayers rose like smoke from every corner of the land. And the Lord, in his mercy, answered. But not as they expected. In those days, a woman sat beneath a palm tree between Ramah and Bethel, in the hill country of Ephraim. Her name was Deborah. She was a prophetess, a judge of Israel. The people came to her for wisdom, for counsel, for justice. And she spoke, not from her own strength, but from the Spirit of the Lord. While men trembled in the shadow of Sisera's chariots, Deborah listened to the voice of God. She was not a warrior, not a soldier, not a commander. Yet heaven had chosen her to lead Israel into deliverance, and the Lord was about to speak through her words that would ignite courage, summon a man from the north, and change the fate of a nation. But first, the land still groaned, the people still cried, and Sisera's shadow stretched low over Israel. This is where the story begins, with a broken nation, with a cruel oppressor, with a people at the end of themselves, and with a woman chosen by God under a palm tree. From under the palm tree of Deborah, the Lord's word burned like fire in her spirit. She knew it was time. The cries of Israel had reached heaven, and now God would raise deliverance. Deborah sent a message north to the town of Kedesh in Naphtali. There lived a man chosen for this moment. His name was Barak, son of Abinoam, a warrior, strong, respected, but like many men in that dark age, he carried the weight of fear. Still, when Deborah summoned him, he came. Barak stood before Deborah beneath the shade of the palm tree. The judge of Israel lifted her eyes and spoke. Deborah said, "Barak, son of Abinoam, the Lord, the God of Israel, commands you, go, take with you 10,000 men of Naphtali and Zebulun, and lead them up to Mount Tabor. There the Lord will lure Sisera, the commander of Jabin's army, with his chariots and his troops, and he will give him into your hands." The words hung in the air like a sword drawn. The promise of God, the command of heaven. But Barak's heart trembled. He said, "If you go with me, Deborah, I will go. But if you will not go with me, I will not go." The warrior hesitated. The commander faltered. His eyes were not on the promise, but on the iron of Sisera's chariots. And yet Deborah did not waver. She said, "I will surely go with you. But know this, Barak, the honor will not be yours, for the Lord will deliver Sisera into the hands of a woman." Barak bowed his head. He accepted her words, and together they rose to gather an army. From the tribes of Zebulun and Naphtali, 10,000 men rallied. Farmers, shepherds, craftsmen, ordinary men who had lived too long under oppression. But under Deborah's voice, under the command of God, they marched to Mount Tabor, and word spread quickly. Far to the north, Sisera heard of it. The commander laughed. 10,000 peasants with sticks and stones against 900 iron chariots? He gathered his army, confident of victory. But what Sisera did not know was that heaven itself had already taken the field. The day of battle had come. On the slopes of Mount Tabor, Barak and his 10,000 stood. Their weapons were few, their armor poor, yet their hearts burned with hope. For the prophetess of God was among them not far, across the plain. Like a storm of iron, Sisera's forces gathered. 900 chariots gleamed in the sun, their wheels sharpened for war. Soldiers marched in ranks beside them, the dust of their coming darkening the horizon. Israel's men watched with trembling hands. Against such power, they seemed but sheep before wolves. But Deborah stood tall. She cried out, "Barak, up! This is the day the Lord has given Sisera into your hands. Has not the Lord gone ahead of you?" At her word, something broke in the hearts of the men. Fear gave way to fire. Barak drew his sword and charged down Mount Tabor. The 10,000 roared as one, surging like a river unleashed. And the Lord went before them. From the heavens, dark clouds gathered. The Kishon River, once calm, swelled with sudden flood. The ground beneath Sisera's chariots turned to mud. Wheels clogged, horses stumbled, iron stuck fast in mire. Panic swept through the mighty army. Sisera's men faltered, slipping in the mud, struck down by Israel's swords. What they thought invincible was shattered in a moment by the hand of God. But Sisera, the proud commander, saw the battle turn. His iron failed him, his soldiers fell, and fear took hold of his heart. Abandoning his chariot, Sisera fled on foot. Through fields and valleys he ran, desperate for life, leaving his army to ruin. On that day, every one of Sisera's warriors fell before Barak's sword. Not a man was left. Israel had seen the Lord fight for them, not by iron, not by might, but by his power alone. And yet, the story was not finished, for Sisera still lived. And God had appointed his end in the most unexpected hands. Sisera fled, the once mighty commander, whose chariots had struck terror into Israel, now stumbled like a hunted animal. His armor weighed heavy, his breath ragged. He sought safety, a place to hide, somewhere, anywhere, to escape the sword of Barak. And then he saw it. A tent. It belonged to Jael, the wife of Heber the Kenite. Her people had peace with Jabin, king of Hazor. To Sisera, this tent seemed a refuge. He staggered to the entrance. Jael stepped out to meet him. She said, "Come in, my lord. Come right in. Don't be afraid." Sisera entered, believing he had found safety. Jael covered him with a blanket, her movements kind, her voice tender. He said, "Please, give me a little water. I'm thirsty." But Jael gave him milk, cool, soothing milk poured from a skin. She handed it to him, then covered him once more. Sisera said, "Stand in the doorway. If someone comes and asks if anyone is here, say no." Exhausted, the mighty commander fell into deep sleep, and Jael, the quiet woman of the tent, reached for a hammer. In her hand, she held a tent-peg dot. She moved silently, steadily. With one strike, she drove the peg through his temple, into the ground beneath Dot, and Sisera, the terror of Israel, was no more. Moments later, Barak arrived, pursuing his enemy. Jael stepped out to meet him. She said, "Come, I will show you the man you are looking for." Barak entered, and there he saw Sisera, fallen, slain by the hand of a woman. And so, on that day, God subdued Jabin, king of Canaan, before the children of Israel. The hand of Israel pressed harder and harder against Jabin until they destroyed him, completely dot. Then Deborah and Barak sang on that day, lifting a song of triumph to the Lord. They sang, "When leaders lead in Israel, when the people willingly offer themselves, bless the Lord. Hear, O kings. Give ear, O princes. I, even I, will sing to the Lord. I will sing praise to the Lord, the God of Israel." They sang of God's power, of the earth trembling, of the heavens pouring down rain. They declared how the Lord shattered the might of Sisera, how his hand brought victory where no man could. And they honored Jael, the woman of courage. Most blessed among women is Jael, the wife of Heber the Kenite. Blessed is she among tent-dwelling women. Her hand reached for the tent peg, her right hand for the workman's hammer. She struck Sisera. She crushed his head. She pierced and struck through his temple. So the land had rest for 40 years. The story of Deborah, Barak, and Jael is not just history. It is a living testimony. It reminds us that when God's people are willing, He can use anyone, prophetess, warrior, or homemaker, to bring victory. It shows us that true courage is not the absence of fear, but faith in the word of the Lord. And it teaches us that God's power is not limited by iron chariots, mighty armies, or impossible odds. For when God fights, victory is certain. Dear friend, if this story has stirred your heart, remember, the same God who delivered Israel is still mighty today. Subscribe to Hope Restored TV, official, for more stories of faith, love, and restoration. Share this story with someone who needs courage, and let God's word keep inspiring your life.